Journey as we continue our month-long awareness campaign on the fight to defeat Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Each Tuesday this month, we've coined International Tuesday, focused on the global fight to defeat Duchenne. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce you on this show to Dimitrios Athanasiou. Dimitrios joins us today from Athens, and you are the founder of Parent Project MDA in Greece. Dimitrios, welcome to the program.
Nice to be with you, and I'm sending all our love from South Europe, let's say, to the really other point of the world, and to our families. We are in all this together.
Thank you so much. Tell us, Dimitrios, a little bit about your connection and the founding of the organization in Greece.
I think my relationship with the Duchenne is my son, who is called Hermes. He's 10 years old now. I think he was very early diagnosed. So 13 months we got the diagnosis because we have a standard procedure in the pediatric hospitals in Greece that we do CK as a standard, it's a cheap exam. So after you get, the 20,000+ CK, you know that something goes wrong. And pretty fast, I would say, after that, we got the diagnosis something in a couple of months. But it was our first child, 13 months old. I think everybody knows how it feels. So this is, let's say, how we started.
And how does your organization play a role in Greece and perhaps even more widely across Europe?
We have an organization, I think it's now almost 20 years. So we have the MDA-LS, that it covers all the neuromuscular, let's say, diseases. And we created our group, the Parent Project for Duchenne, specifically group for Duchenne. How it operates. So we started as a charity, as most of our organizations, because in the past, we didn't have any cures, we didn't have any treatments, we didn't have any protocols even, or standards of care. So charity was the way forward, like in most, let's say, in Europe at that time, 20 years ago. And then we realized that, you need more professionalism, you have other needs, you need advocacy, things change. So while this environment was changing also in the research, we established 3 centers. So one in the North Greece and the other in the center and the other in the south, which are neuromuscular centers, and we can monitor our children, let's say, on a good basis. And that's how it started, I guess. Then we connected also with the global, but this is maybe the next question.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. I mean, Duchenne can be this very isolating disease for parents and families when they first are found out about the diagnosis. But for you, you've taken this and you've grown your organization across Greece, but also connected not only across Europe and around the world with the World Duchenne Organization. I think that's a pretty powerful network of individuals and groups that are working together. How do you feel about the fact that this is a worldwide effort in terms of raising awareness and supporting patient data and all of the work that's being done around the world?
I think you know very well that, it's when you get a diagnosis, you have to make a decision. What do we do with it? My background is from finance, so I have a very specific attitude, let's say, on how to reflect and do action. So I thought, I have to give it a go. Have to fight like all of our families. But then you realize that you are not alone. So when you get connected with our advocacy groups, let's say, you realize you're not alone. And then, all the children are becoming yours. So you have this narcissistic, let's say, behavior that, okay, let's see what we can do for everybody else. And that developed that was, let's say, the base, and at least my personal motive, to heavily support the World Duchenne Organization to bring it to where it is now. And now we have 50+ member organizations from the 5 continents. And that's amazing for a disease like ours. I think that's amazing. So that's, let's say, to the grassroots level. But then you have leverage. So we can leverage, let's say, our advocacy to various other levels.
Yeah, and that connection of like organizations around the world on this one disease, which is a rare disease, as we know, but it's pretty powerful when you see people come together all sort of with the same mission. And that's got to make you feel good as a dad and as a family member that we are united in this way globally.
I think that was also when we launched the Duchenne Patient Academy, let's say face-to-face in Athens. We started with, I think it was 3-4 years ago, and we started with 20 groups. And I think in the last one, it was online, obviously because of COVID, and it was extended. It was for 1 week. And I think in December, end of November, after Thanksgiving, we'll have the next one. I think in the last one, it was more than 130 people from 70 countries. And that was amazing. And the uniqueness of our advocates, the passion that they have. And it's very important to feel that, depending where you live in the world, you are not alone. That's important.
Dimitrios, you talk a lot about lived experience and the importance of patient data, and that's not just in Greece, or just in Europe, but that's really around the world. Talk to us about the importance of why this is so important, that patient data be sort of brought together and understood around the world as we try and find our way home on defeating Duchenne.
I think I'll try to be short, let's say, on this, but it is my passion because I'm part of the Eurordis and of RDI, the Rare Disease International. And if you see how we develop our medications, our drugs, and we're not talking about chronic disease, we're not talking about big numbers like diabetes. So the value of the rare disease data is very high. And not in dollars, let's say, for us at this phase. For others, definitely it is also. But how we can leverage this data, how we can use and reuse this data for our benefit, for our pipeline. I have a role, as you know, in the European Medicine Agency in the Pediatric Committee. And what we struggle in rare diseases when we see these pediatric investigation plans is the data. So how you collect the data. And what we notice is that, in rare disease, we say sharing is caring, but we don't see a lot of sharing of data. So that's the one part. So people do not like to share data. I think this is changing, but also it's the discussion about data ownership. And this data is ours, is our children, is our families, is our blood and sweat. And, we will not have a proper treatment, let's say, or medical development pipeline if we don't manage, not only for this, but also for care, corticosteroids, which is the best regime 40 years later. Not sharing, not knowing.
Exactly. Well put. Dimitrios, what have you seen that gives you hope today since your son was diagnosed?
I think we can break it in two levels. I think when my son was diagnosed, when I Googled in the clinical drive gov, I found 14 protocols or something like that were semi-active. I think now you can find 70. So we worked a lot. And I think your contribution also was critical, to increase at least the pipeline. But this is the one part of the discussion. Till we have these treatments, we need ultimate care, because the life expectancy of our children improved, not because of treatments per se. We give corticosteroids how many years now, but of optimal care. So making our people aware, educating our clinicians, because this is our job, unfortunately, on what they should do with our children, and developing more knowledge. So I think we have more knowledge, but what I find more exciting is that we get together. We work together, and this is what I find amazing.
When you look at your organization, Parent Project in Greece, what do you think are some of the accomplishments that you've been able to see advance in the time that you got behind this and you sort of led this movement across Greece and across Europe?
I think with an amazing base by the National MDA organization, and this gave us a very good route in order to develop also the discussions with the regulatory authorities about the care, about implementing the standards of care that are lacking in many countries. And I'm sure Canada is one of them, that you will not receive the same care in all places when our children are, when our boys or our young men are. So that coherence, let's say, that we will be able to build, to bring the families together, to support them very early in the diagnosis, because it's a completely different story if you hear, diagnosis from a clinician, and then he will forget you. He has to have a defense mechanism, let's say, to survive this diagnosis. But then you have to realize you're not alone, and there is a tomorrow, and a worth living tomorrow.
Exactly. Dimitrios, thank you. Thank you for your hospitality. When I had the chance to join my first World Duchenne Organization a couple of years ago in Athens and meet you and all of the wonderful people of different organizations, I know sitting here in Canada as part of Jesse's journey, we're thrilled to be part of the WDO, and part of that connection is people like you and everyone doing so much great work on behalf of the Duchenne community. So thanks again to you. Thanks for joining us today, and it's just great to be partnered with you. So thanks for joining us on our International Tuesday segment. Glad to know that you're still doing well, and we'll look forward to our next interaction. Thank you, Dimitrios.
Thank you very much for the time, and thank you for the effort you do in the other part of the world, and we'll join you in the middle.
Thanks again. Appreciate you. Take care.